March 15th, 44 BC, the most powerful man in the world, stabbed 23 times. By men he called friends. Even the son he never had. This is the day Julius Caesar learned the price of absolute power. But to understand his fall, we must first understand his rise. Born into a minor noble family, young Caesar had nothing but ambition. He dreamed of matching Alexander the Great. Most thought he was crazy. They had no idea what was coming. At 25, pirates kidnapped him for ransom. Big mistake. Caesar laughed in their faces and told them they were asking too little. After his release, he returned with a fleet and crucified every single one of them. Rome was watching now. This was the Caesar the world would come to fear. Charming, brilliant, absolutely ruthless. For 8 years, Caesar conquered Gaul, modern-day France, Belgium, Switzerland, 300 tribes, over 1 million dead. His legions became the most feared fighting force on earth. At Alesia, he achieved the impossible. Trapped between 80,000 Gauls inside the city and 250,000 coming to rescue them, Caesar built walls facing both directions and defeated them all. Military genius doesn't even begin to describe it. By 50 BC, Caesar was unstoppable. The greatest general Rome had ever seen. Wealthy beyond measure. Loved by his soldiers. And absolutely terrifying to the Senate back in Rome. Led by Pompey the Great, the Senate made their move. They ordered Caesar to disband his army and return to Rome, alone. It was a trap. Without his legions, Caesar would be arrested, tried, probably executed. January the 49 BC. Caesar stood at the Rubicon River, the boundary of Rome. By law, no general could cross with an army. To cross meant civil war. To stay meant death. Caesar looked at his legions, then at Rome, and said 4 words that changed history. The die is cast. He crossed. There was no turning back now. Civil war erupted. Roman against Roman. At Pharsalus, Caesar faced Pompey's larger army. Through tactical brilliance, he crushed them. Pompey fled to Egypt, where he was murdered. Caesar had won. Rome was his. The Senate, terrified and defeated, declared Caesar dictator. He stood at the peak of power, one man ruling the entire Mediterranean world. Everything he dreamed of as that ambitious young noble, achieved. In Egypt, he met Cleopatra. She was 21, he was 52. That wasn't just romance. It was the most dangerous political alliance in history. Rome plus Egypt could rule the entire known world. Together, they dreamed of an empire that would span from Britain to India, a dynasty that would last forever. Caesar even had a son with her. The Senate watched in horror. This wasn't temporary dictatorship anymore. This was the beginning of a royal family. Back in Rome, Caesar pushed further. Purple robes, a golden throne. Rumors he would declare himself king. The Senate was paralyzed with fear. The Republic was dying before their eyes. Something had to be done. Some of them started whispering, then planning. 60 senators swore an oath. They would kill Caesar and save the Republic. Led by Cassius, they recruited the one man whose participation would make it legitimate, Brutus, Caesar's closest friend, almost like a son. Brutus struggled with the decision, but ultimately agreed. For Rome, he would do it. March 15th. Caesar's wife, Calpurnia, begged him not to go to the Senate. She'd had nightmares of his murder. Caesar hesitated, but his pride won. He wouldn't hide from shadows. Fatal mistake. On the street, a soothsayer rushed up to him. "Beware the Ides of March." Caesar smiled. "The Ides of March have come," he said dismissively. "Ah, Caesar," the prophet replied, "but not gone." Caesar kept walking. He entered the theater of Pompey, where the Senate was meeting. His bodyguard, Mark Antony, was deliberately held back by one of the conspirators. Caesar was alone now. 60 senators waited inside. 23 held daggers hidden in their togas. They surrounded him, pretending to present a petition. Then the first blade struck, then another, and another. Caesar fought back, but there were too many. When he saw Brutus with a dagger, the fight went out of him. "Et tu, Brute?" "Even you, Brutus." He pulled his toga over his face and fell. At the feet of Pompey's statue, 23 stab wounds. Only one was fatal. The conspirators thought they'd saved Rome. They were wrong. Mark Antony showed the people Caesar's bloody toga and read his will. Rome exploded. The conspirators' houses were burned. The republic they tried to save, destroyed in the attempt. Caesar's heir, Octavian, and Mark Antony hunted down every conspirator. At Philippi, they crushed Brutus and Cassius. Both committed suicide on the battlefield. Brutus's last words, "Caesar, now be still." Even in death, Caesar won. 15 years after Caesar's death, Octavian became Augustus, the first Roman emperor. Everything Caesar died trying to achieve, his heir accomplished. The Roman Empire would last 500 years. The Republic was gone forever. Julius Caesar conquered Gaul, crossed the Rubicon, became dictator, and was murdered for it. But his name became the word for emperor in dozens of languages. Kaiser, Tsar, Emperor. We named a month after him, July. 2,000 years later, we still say, "Beware the Ides of March." Caesar died, but Caesar never died. Veni, vidi, vici.